Club. As always, happy Friday, everybody. I hope you're having a good day wherever you are, whatever day it is for you. As I said on the last episode, we have switched platforms that we're recording with. We used to be using Zoom, now we're using Riverside. And so anytime that you switch technology, things always mess up. So if there's something wrong during the episode, I apologize. We'll figure it out, but just roll with it. This is what we're doing. It's a good day, though, because we have Quentin West with us on the podcast. Quentin is from Shortcut to Superhost. He is an Airbnb guy, so all you guys out there who are interested in short-term rentals and increasing your short-term rental portfolio or optimizing what you got right now, this is a good episode to tune into. So yeah, I'm excited. Quentin, thanks for hopping on the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Gabe. Thanks for having me.
All right. I told you before we got on here, we always like to start with stories. We like to hear how people got to where they are. So why don't you take us back to the beginning of your story in real estate and tell us how you got here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So people always laugh when I tell them I got in by accident, but I got into Airbnb by a series of un not the greatest circumstances, just to put it that way.
Okay.
So I was going to Virginia Tech for aerospace engineering. I thought I was super smart, graduated high school with like a 4.3 GPA, barely went to class. And then I get to college and it's like a completely different story. And about a year and a half in, I decided that, all the 4 years building up to this and all the hard work that I put in, was like that was basically pointless because I don't want to do anything with this anymore. I just couldn't get past, the one lesson stuck out in particular. The lecturer was standing up there talking about, work your tail off for the next 4 years, and then if you're lucky, you get out and you'll get a good 60,000 a year job. I was like, that just doesn't sit right with me. Like, we're doing all this for 60 grand a year. And so I decided to drop out after just completely failing my final on a calculus exam, and became
Calculus gets us all though, so don't worry about that.
up to calculus, everything was fine. And then they started talking about all those terms, and it just completely lost me.
Sine, cosine,
But
whatever it is.
yeah. But from that day forward, I kind of became the black sheep in my family. Going against the grain of what mom and dad wanted me to do to get um, my degree in engineering and things like that. And I went and worked construction at the time because it was the best job that I could find. And about a year and a half into that, I was getting my heavy equipment license to run a crane, and I swung a crane into a power line.
Ooh.
And yeah, kind of a serious thing. And all I could think about at the time was, this is it. This is my last day. Because, if you're on a big piece of machinery, like you feel all the electricity going through you. Like all my hair was standing up. It was like
Oh
something out
wow.
of a movie. And luckily I was able to pull it off. Typically the computer will get shut down and then like the cab will literally explode and the operator dies.
Oh
Uh,
jeez.
so luckily that didn't happen. But after that, needless to say, I quit construction.
Yeah,
And
last day.
at the time, I was listening to Bigger Pockets for like 4 hours a day. Like I was in a machine or I was driving, so like I just took the time to really learn as much as I could about real estate because I was always attracted to real estate, just didn't know how to get in. And so I decided now that I'm changing jobs again, I might as well get my real estate license because in my mind I could kill two birds with one stone. I could sell real estate and learn how to buy it myself, and I could also make money doing it. And about 3 months into that, I made no money. And the house that I bought right before I quit my job, I could no longer afford. So I started getting calls and letters from my mortgage company because I was severely behind. And so, kind of out of need, I moved back in with my parents, and I was like, let me just try to put this thing on Airbnb just to float me by. Maybe I'll, make a couple $100 a month or, something like that, and I can at least, get back on my feet. In the first month, I made $1,000 in profit. The second
All
month, I made
right.
1,500 in profit, and then by the third month, when I made about the same, I thought in my mind, like, if this keeps up, like, I just need one or two more houses, and I never have to work again. And so I went to YouTube University. That's the longest degree I've
That's
ever
a
held.
place to go.
And I started looking up creative strategies to get more properties because I was broke. I had terrible credit. There's just no way I could buy another house. I had to buy this one on a FHA loan. And I learned about Airbnb arbitrage. And about
Mm.
15 minutes into that video, I just hit pause. I went straight to Zillow, started contacting landlords, and 7 days later, I had my first arbitrage unit secured.
Oh wow.
And luckily, the guy let me like take over the lease a couple weeks down the
And
road because I,
just to pause here, so for people who are not familiar with what
yeah,
Airbnb arbitrage is, just go over that concept real quick.
yeah. So arbitrage is when you rent a property and you get the owner's permission to sublease it on Airbnb.
Okay.
So you're kind of
So you're
using,
renting, 3 bed, 2 bath for, I don't know, $2,000 a month, and then
yeah,
you're
once a month.
subletting it as an Airbnb
Mhm.
for hopefully more than $2,000 a month.
Yeah, yeah. Ideally, you want to profit at least $1,000 a month on a $1,500 to $2,000 a month rent. Um, but that's exactly what I did. I went to Zillow, followed the advice of the video to a T, and the first guy I ever talked to, I signed a lease with. Like I just got really lucky. Like I'll acknowledge that. But you know what they say about luck? It's when preparation meets opportunity, and I just was giving it everything I had. And I signed that lease. I used a credit card to pay my first month's rent and deposit. So I learned that since I didn't have any money, I could take my Chase card that I had 6 grand on. I could send myself an invoice from QuickBooks. I could pay it with a credit card, and then I could send that money to my bank and write a check from it.
Wow, that is creative.
Yeah, so that's what I did. I liquidated the credit card. Then with the rest of the money, I used Facebook Marketplace Furniture to set it up and furnish it. And sure enough, the first 30 days, I made about $1,200 in profit. And after that second one, I was like, I'm going to give everything over the next year to see what happens. And so I kept learning about business credit. I signed as many leases as I could as quickly as I could get, 5 to 10 grand in my bank account. And 12 months later, I had 12 units profiting 14,000 a month on Airbnb.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's crazy.
It's a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
So I've heard of people doing arbitrage with Airbnb, and it's an interesting concept. Mostly what people do for arbitrage is just short term, or they rent by the room. And so it's
Yeah.
long term stays, but it's still rent by the room. But I haven't, sorry, that's generally what I hear people do. I have not heard of people doing Airbnb arbitrage, which is unique. Is that still something that a lot of people are doing? Are you still doing it today?
We're still doing it. We're not taking on more units, more new units. A lot of our clients are. We have shifted our focus a little bit on acquisition. So we created a new model based on some demand that we were seeing in the market, and also the fact that I've been super busy and I just don't really want to show up to properties or renew leases or do any of the like in-person things.
Yeah.
We created a model called fractional hosting.
Okay.
So it's similar to property management, but the great part is you don't need to be licensed in most states. You don't manage any of the cleaning or maintenance. All you are managing for the owner of the property is the pricing, the guest communications, and the marketing. So somebody else owns the Airbnb, you're signing a contract with them, kind of like an agency model, to handle the things that they don't really understand to generate more
Mhm.
revenue for them, and you're taking typically 12 to 15%.
Okay. So this sounds, I mean, it just sounds like property management.
It's similar to property management, yes, but
Okay.
it's not. You can't call it property management because in most cases you need to be licensed to be a manager.
Got it.
So with management, you normally have to manage a trust account and you're handling somebody else's funds. You're managing all the day to day, the clean outs, the check-ins, the turnovers, the repairs. We're not doing any of that. All the money is split up automatically through Airbnb's split payout feature. So
Mhm.
you don't need a trust account. You're not managing cleaning. You never have to be on site. We're, basically managing properties in 10 different states right now. I've never even seen them in person because people reach out to us. They want us to help them increase their revenue, but they don't really want to pay 20 to 30% to a full-time manager. They're happy to manage the cleaning, the maintenance. They just want somebody to generate more bookings for them. And that's what our sole role is.
Interesting. Okay. So you guys, and I'm just kind of putting it into a category in my own
Yeah,
framework.
it's hard to separate. Trust me.
Yeah, no worries. I love hearing new business models, especially in something that's already established, like short-term rentals.
Yep.
But in my mind, it sounds like you guys are really you're a marketing agency, and you're
Basically.
doing,
Yep.
yeah, and so you're leasing the units, you're getting tenants to come or
Not
customers
leasing.
to come in. No, yeah, not leasing. Well, Airbnb is doing the leasing. But
Airbnb is doing leasing.
you are finding the new. I mean, so if I had an Airbnb and it was maybe rented out 20% of the month and
Yeah.
it should be rented out 60% of the month, and I know that, and I'm like, I'm not good at this. So I would come to your company
Right.
to you do the marketing because you guys are good at marketing to get new people to come to the property. You communicate with the new people that are coming, but that's all you do. You do marketing and you do communications
And pricing management. Yep.
and pricing management. Okay,
Mhm.
interesting, cool. No, it's a new model, and I love it. It sounds like something, especially with somebody who has experience in Airbnbs. You know that you can deliver results for someone. This is something that definitely, it's an agency model. It's a time tested model, and it
Mhm.
sounds like a good way to do it. So your pricing in terms of the offering that you are actually giving your service to, it's you base it on a percentage of the gross revenue. So you
Yep.
said 12%, 10 to 12%.
12 to 15%. Sometimes we'll do 10 if the property is just like really going to crush it. Like upwards of 100 grand a year. They just want us to do more so like revenue management.
Mm.
Maybe they want to handle their own communications. They just want somebody to get them bookings. We may charge 10% in that case, but average is 12. And it's been a fantastic model. It's super scalable. We just
Yeah.
took on 4 properties a couple days ago from a single
Nice.
client. No money invested. So it's, in my opinion, the best model, especially if you're going to generate cash flow to buy properties later on, because I still believe that purchasing is the best long term play for tax benefits, appreciation, long term wealth building. But this model, if you're just getting started, I mean, I wish I would have learned about it years ago. I would have had hundreds of units by now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things. Like when people approach me about getting involved in real estate, but they want it to be their main thing, but they want to be able to leave their job. The difficult thing about real estate is investing in real estate is it really is. It can't be your primary.
Yeah,
It can't
you
be
need money.
active income. Yeah, you need money to make money
Yeah.
in real estate, and a lot of people say you don't, but you do. You need money to make money in real estate, but with the agency model, this you don't. I mean, you need to set up your software, but that's pretty minimal.
Well,
This
the
way,
great thing about the software is you pay as the revenue comes in.
okay, interesting.
So like if you set up an account with Hospitable, you only pay when you get your first bookings. If you set up an account with Beyond Pricing, you pay 1% of booking value. So you only pay out as soon as you get paid, and that's why again it's such an attractive model. I mean, you can start with no money. I mean, I wouldn't recommend doing it in your personal name, but you could. But let's just say you set up an LLC, a couple $100, you've got your LLC established, you've got your business set up, you get your EIN number, your business bank account. Now you have a business for less than $1,000, and you don't need to invest anything. You don't need to spend money on marketing. Like you could, do cold outreach in Facebook groups to people that are talking about, bookings are way lower than what they used to be. That's opportunity for you to generate more revenue as long as you understand the system for getting them booked more frequently.
Nice. Well, yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the delivery of the service. So, you guys, people approach you to lease not lease, but to increase the number of nights that are rented for their properties.
Yep.
What are the strategies? What are the tools? How are you guys doing this? I'm assuming the people that are approaching you, they just don't know technology. Um,
It's not just
yeah.
technology. It's general marketing principles, I would say, just to break it down simply. But the equation that we have is it's kind of like 1 + 1 = 2. Like it can only equal 2. There's only one outcome. What we do is we get people in front of a larger audience. We show them how to convert that audience at a higher rate, and we price them at a rate people are ready and willing to pay. So if you get in front of more people, you know what they're attracted to that gets them to book, and you price appropriately, it's going to be pretty difficult for you not to make more money. And so the way that we break that down is first kind of a foundational optimization. We'll write out a search engine optimized description that includes keywords that allow them to show up more frequently in search. So just like probably a lot of your followers, or
SEO. Yeah.
that Amazon product that you were talking to your wife about, and all of a sudden it's promoted to you on Facebook, it was listed in. Airbnb does the same thing. They create what's called a guest profile, and they know that guest's previous buying behaviors. They know how many people are in their family, their ages, properties they may have booked on Airbnb in the past, even other platforms, and they create a profile for them, and they promote listings that line up with that profile. So if you are, advertising a property that's close to Disney World and you're not showcasing all your amenities, you're not using keywords, you're not showing, certain attractions that may be nearby, that's less ammunition that Airbnb can use to advertise your property. If you have all those things in there, you show up in more searches and you get in front of more people, you have more opportunity. And so that's the first thing we do. We get their listing optimized, get their photos organized in an appropriate order, so that they're more optimized for conversions. And we've seen great results from it. Our average improvement in views is over 40%. We're getting 40% more opportunity for our clients than they had prior to working with us.
Do you guys go and take professional pictures of the property yourself, or
we don't? We set that as a requirement because we don't charge a upfront fee. We can help coordinate it, but my whole goal with this model was to make great income with a fraction of the work, and that's what we've created. We're not a consultant. We are not an on-site manager. We produce revenue and we will communicate with your guests, but we're not full service, and we say that up front. And most people love it because they don't have to talk to us. They communicate with their guests when they want to. Some of the guests, we have like a hybrid model set up where they communicate when they want to. They'll jump in, and then our team handles the rest. But it's been great because we can kind of structure. We have a starting point, a foundation where it's mostly hands-off business for me. My virtual assistants can handle most of the workload that comes in. But it's great revenue.
So how do you handle turning the units? Every time, sometimes Airbnbs are rented for like 2 nights, and so if the host is responsible still for turning the unit, how are you communicating with them to that the dates that they need to turn it, and making sure that it actually happens?
So the software does it. So we will connect either their calendar or the cleaner's calendar with our software, and it sends them a notification every time it needs a cleaning. So that part's completely hands off for us and the owner if they have a cleaner managing it.
Got it. Okay, so is that must be one of your requirements then, that they have a cleaner in place to?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, we can help them find the cleaner. We just don't want to manage the cleaning long term. If a house doesn't get cleaned, we just want to send a message to the owner and say, hey, the house didn't get cleaned. We'll call your cleaner. That way it's like, I'm super busy with other businesses. I just didn't want more arbitrage properties where if a place didn't get cleaned or didn't do this or didn't do that, now I have 50 of them that I'm the fallback guy on.
Right.
With the agency model, with fractional hosting, the owner's the fallback. Like we're an asset to the team. We're there to generate revenue and communicate, but outside of that, we don't have any further liability or responsibility.
Yeah. All you guys do is the marketing and the communications.
Yep.
Makes sense. So you've already mentioned listing optimization, SEO, that kind of stuff to make sure that the listing looks good. Do you do anything additional to increase the number of views that the listing gets, like Facebook ads, Google ads, etc., or is it just listing optimization?
We don't do any ads because honestly, with most singular units, it's just not worth it. You're pumping in all this money into marketing, and in most cases, with Facebook and VR, or with which platform, Airbnb and VRBO, we have plenty of traffic. So we, like with Evolve and some of these other management companies, they use a marketing tactic where they say, well, we'll get you on 9 platforms. Yes, they're going to get you on 9 platforms, but you're going to get most of your bookings on Airbnb and VRBO, and you may get one or two bookings on the other ones all throughout the year. So really, they're just not necessary. It's more of a marketing tactic because people think that 9 platforms is 9 times the exposure, and it's just not true.
So let's talk about tools. You've already mentioned you guys do pricing, dynamic pricing. So everybody always has their own special tool that they use for pricing. What do you guys use?
We use Beyond Pricing for our software.
Okay, and that does everything for you. It does, it automatically changes the price the units and
It does. You've got to have some manual input on the front end, and then there's somewhat of a testing phase for each new unit, because a lot of times hosts get themselves in trouble because they buy into this whole again marketing tactic from the software companies where you just like set it up in 5 minutes and you forget it and you're making more money. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes you may get lucky and what they recommend to you is on par, but at least 75% of the time you're going to have to do some adjustments and know a little bit about pricing strategies so that you're putting in the right minimum and base price. There's been so many people that have come to us that have this false sense of security that they're a super host, they're on Price Labs, they're on this, they're on that, and they should be making more money. But Price Labs is pricing their property either way too low or way too high, and so they're not getting booked, or even if they are getting booked, they're not making any money. And it's because they're trusting the software too much. They have to have at least a general understanding of pricing to be effective with any software.
Yeah, that makes sense. Other tools. What other tools do you use in the management process? Well, I guess you guys aren't managing, but in the service that you're providing, what other tools are you using?
So we've built out a lot of AI tools. So we have some custom things that we've done in-house that now, like, we have all these clients that come to us for optimization. We have an AI tool that will take your existing listing and write a SEO optimized listing description for you in like 2 minutes.
Do you guys use Claude or do you use Chat?
It's not ChatGPT. We're using custom GPT. So it's branded to our company, and we can give it to clients and things like that. But it does use the ChatGPT backend.
OpenAI, yeah.
The OpenAI.
Nice.
In addition to that, we use Hospitable currently for our property management software or our channel manager. It's what allows you to sync multiple platforms and have like one source of truth. So like you can communicate with all your guests in one platform instead of going back and forth from Airbnb and VRBO. And in the next, I'd say 60 to 90 days, we're launching our own property management software that incorporates pricing as well. So if anybody wants to look that up, it's called EasyHost, EasyHost, easyhost.io. We're going to be launching that soon so that we have our own software that us and our clients can use that have some of the important data points that other softwares don't show, that we use for optimization and A/B testing and making sure that the listings are performing the way that we want them to.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I this AI stuff, I wrote, I created an underwriting software for self-storage using Replit. And man, I cannot get enough of the AI tools.
It's awesome.
I'm definitely sold.
I tried out Replit. I don't know, probably when it first came out. I need to check it out again because at the time I got very frustrated, and it was cool, but it wasn't like a finished product. So I think now it's probably good enough where you can at least get like a MVP set up.
It's not as delusional now. It's before you would say, hey, do this, and it was like, okay, it's done, but it didn't do anything, and you're like, what the hell? But now at least I've found that if you do a screenshot and you put it in there, it'll understand what the problem is. So
that's cool.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I took a peek at the clock. We have run it down. We are beyond the time, but that's okay because hey, man, when you're in a good conversation, you got to keep it going. I am going to push us into the quick question round, though, and it starts with education. Could be any form, could be a conference you've gone to, mentorship program you've been a part of, a book you've read, movie you've seen, anything. I just need 2 recommendations, one for general life wisdom and then one for real estate.
General life wisdom. I really love listening to Myron Golden. I'm a spiritual guy, very faith driven. Myron is too, and he's an entrepreneur with a wealth of wisdom. Real estate, gosh, there's a lot of books. I'd say Brandon Turner's book, Buying Real Estate with Low or No Money Down, is a good one. Rich Dad Poor Dad, but I hate the classic. But yeah, anything that Brandon Turner does, I really love watching. Grant Cardone's got some cool stuff with the multifamily assets, but yeah, typically keep it simple.
Cool. Sounds good. All right. Next question is for your younger self. Let's go back to the Quentin who was, still working that job in construction. Go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Gosh, I would say that the pain is temporary.
So true.
Back then, every little thing, not that I fell apart, but it seemed like it was the end of the world all the time, and like I was never gonna get through it. And now that's like a day-to-day basis. You may have a week where you're just like everything's on top of the world. You've got a bank full of money, and then as an entrepreneur, 2 weeks later, you've got no money. you're like trying to sell a kidney to pay payroll. So yeah, the pain is temporary. That's the biggest you can give.
For people listening on the podcast, I'm shaking my head because I've been in that situation so many times, and the more you get into it with where you hit something that was unexpected and it just slaps you in the face, the more that happens, the more you realize that it's just part of the process. And when you're crushing it and you're getting deals done and you're making money, and when you're in the trough, now I just kind of stay in the middle, and I'm like, hey, I made money today, great, but something bad's gonna happen soon. When something bad happens, I'm like, hey, something bad happened, whatever. Next, it'll come up soon. So, yeah, the more you get into it, the more you kind of just stay in the center, and you don't let the tops and the bottoms, kick your legs out from under you. So that is good advice, and I feel like something you can only really understand by getting hit in the face.
True.
So it definitely requires a little bit of experience there. Let's move it on to the next question. This is about the U.S. It is a big place. There's a lot of opportunity out there. This will be interesting for Airbnb. Give me the single metro you're most excited about investing in today.
I would say Charlotte, North Carolina is honestly a really good spot. But with Airbnbs, honestly, I try to avoid the metros, because that's where everybody runs to. That's the places that are going to get first hit with regulation. They're going to be the most competitive, the highest cost per property. So what we try to do is find what we call the golden triangle. And somebody talked about this on YouTube. I don't remember what his name is, so I can't take full credit for it. But basically, you're finding a spot in the middle of 3 locations where you're 30 minutes from 3 major attractions. So it could be a major metro, it could be high traffic airport, the beach, mountains, whatever. Like something where a lot of people are traveling to. You want to find a place within 30 minutes of 3. As long as you do that, then typically you'll have no problem ever filling the property. But even further, I try to look for a golden triangle that's not a major metro, because then you're typically going to pay like 75%, maybe less of what you would pay middle of the city. You're still going to have very similar flow of traffic, very similar rates for short-term rentals, but you're not going to be impacted by as much regulation, as much competition. People may not even find it for years because they don't even know it exists. And that's where we've seen properties, like we have a client has a market in Oklahoma. Nobody knows about it. He bought the house for 75 grand. He's making 1,500 a month in profit.
Nice, that's awesome.
It's nuts.
Oh, man, I just had something that made me think, and I was going to ask about, but it completely went through my mind. That's all right. We're going to move it on. Oh, you're talking about metros. Yeah. So the Golden Triangle. I had a question about this. Yeah. How big does? I mean, you're talking about it has to be 30 minutes from an attraction, but
yeah.
I mean, attraction is a very loose term. Are you talking about like a golf course could be an attraction?
It's got to be like a major attraction. So like
Disneyland.
like
Disneyland.
Busch Gardens, like an amusement park, Disney World, mountains, like something where, like, just do like a ChatGPT or a Google search, major attractions all across the U.S. That'll be the easiest place for you to find them.
Yeah, put little pins down on Google Maps.
Exactly.
That's a task for ChatGPT right there for sure.
Yep.
All right, cool. I'm going to move us on to the next question. This is about lessons learned. Not every deal that we get into goes the way we expect it. In fact, many times things go wrong, and that's when we get to learn a lesson. So, what was the deal that went a little sideways for you, and then what was the lesson you pulled from it?
So I actually almost went bankrupt. I invested in 7 units all at one time, or no, 11. I'm sorry, 11 in 2 states for arbitrage. I basically got some quote unquote good opportunities in 2 states from a friend of mine, and just decided to jump on them, take a risk. Took too big of a risk, and in 5 months, I went from making 130,000 a month on an Airbnb to borrowing quarters from my kids' piggy bank just to feed us.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And every day for almost an entire year, I was going back and forth between a couple different bank accounts because I needed to pay payroll. So, like, if one account was negative, I would send my money to the other account so that I could use that money to pay payroll and then get back to the negative account balance later. But I learned the most during that year. That was by far the worst year of my life so far. Hopefully, I never have a year that weighs up to it. But I had 47 units. Each one of those had a rent payment, a light bill, a water bill, internet, some gas, some debt that I owed. Some of them I rented furniture. So I had over 100 creditors a day calling me for money that I didn't have.
Mm.
The depression and anxiety that I felt through that year, I can't even describe. But that taught me everything I know about optimization now. That led me down the path of trying to figure out where I went wrong, how to really perform at the peak of the market, how to never get in trouble where I can't book my properties again. Because at those new markets that I invested in, I literally would sit there for a couple hours a day, like, what can I do to make these listings make money? They were empty for months. And then in the process of flying back and forth, my manager back home was staying at home watching Netflix while my listings fell apart that I used to build the business. And then they got kicked off the platform, and then they weren't making money. And so it was just this huge spiral effect that taught me so much. And it's the foundation of everything we do today.
Yeah. Yeah, the hard times, they're definitely where you take the biggest lessons. You know, you never wish it on someone, but when you do go through it, you come out the other side and you're like, I'm kind of glad that happened because now I have this knowledge that I know now, and I'm taking it on to the next one. I've had a number of, like, issues that I've run into, but once you run into them, you never run, that is a part of your strategy going forward. You're like, this is never happening again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right, that leads us to the last question. This is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. This is a two-parter. Where can they find you, and then what can they expect when they reach out?
Yeah, so they can find me on Instagram at QDealsHomes, QDealsHomes. You can reach out to me directly. I'm willing to ask or answer any question that you have. Or if you want to get straight access to our free course, you can just text Superhost to 26786. That's SUPERHOST to 26786. That'll give you access to our course. It'll help you understand what model is best for you based on the resources you currently have. It'll ask you a couple questions about your income, how much cash you have available, and recommend something to you based on what makes most sense for your situation.
Perfect. I'll put that link in the show notes. So if you guys want to reach out to Quentin, just click the little more in the description. It'll pull down that full description. In there you can find his link. All right, Quentin, that wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Thanks a lot, Gabe.
Absolutely. For everybody who's with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe, with realestateinvestingclub.com. If you guys want to support the show, just leave us a review. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All right, I think I clicked stop.